Hello and welcome to Take 10. I'm Jennifer Johnson. With us in the studio today is Tim Warner. Mr. Warner is the MCPS Chief Engagement and Partnership Officer. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So that's a new position for you, or new position period, correct? And what does that mean when I say Chief Engagement and Partnership Officer? What does that mean?
So I think MCPS wanted to raise the visibility of community engagement as one of its strategic priorities. And the superintendent, I think, lifted the position to a level that was high enough in the organization to indicate that we want to reach more deeply into communities in a different way than we have in the past, but also not just with parents and families, but also with businesses and other institutional stakeholders in the community, to gather all of that together to support student achievement.
So let's start with reaching out to parents. Which groups of parents were maybe not as engaged or were not connected as much as you'd like to the school system?
Well, certainly we want to engage all parents, right? It's essential for our students' education. But there are parents that have been less engaged than others traditionally. And these typically come in really three areas. One is with African American parents, with Latino parents, and with parents that have children on free and reduced meals. So our poorer parents also are disengaged at a higher rate than others. These communities have been typically difficult to reach, largely because the parents are engaged in trying to survive. And there have been some historic issues as well that we have to address. But we're trying to take measures to reach more deeply into those communities to figure out what those issues are so that we can have parents more deeply engaged.
What are some of the issues? When you say they're more difficult to reach, I mean, I envision a lot of these families that are struggling just to put food on the table, not having computers. I mean, it always amazes me that so much of the school system is based, computer-based now, but we have families that don't have computers.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges in terms of reaching out to those families?
So certainly there is a technology gap. If you can't afford a laptop or a PC, you certainly miss out on an awful lot in terms of not just the school system, but the world. The good news is that people who can't afford a computer are able to afford a cell phone, a smartphone. So they have some access to information. That's less of an issue than some of the historic and economic and cultural gaps that we have between how we do business in MCPS and how those families experience us. For instance, in the Latino community, for instance, we have parents who may not be well educated in their home countries.
Right.
So some come to us illiterate in their home language, some without documentation, and they cannot either read or write in English, nor can they participate legally and fully in our economic system. Those are huge barriers when you have to work 3 and 4 part-time jobs just to keep a family afloat.
And if you don't even speak the language,
exactly
then you have
right.
a child in the school system.
Exactly right. And the child's learning English and encountering a whole cultural system in our school system that the family has no idea how to encounter. And then there's the shame of not being able to parent in the way that you would like to. So it's a very difficult circumstance.
So how do you actually go out and reach out to these families? And I'm assuming you're not standing on a street corner with a bullhorn saying, come to us. What are the mechanics of you actually doing this?
We're certainly not above that.
That's right.
Literally, we have to do, I talk about it jokingly, but we have to do things that we've never done before in order to reach parents. So we're literally trying to move out of the 4 walls of the school building and move into the community where people live. So where people are naturally gathering, we want to show up in those spaces and be available to them, to build relationships with them that hopefully transform the way they behave towards education and their attitudes about education, and invite them to our space and to our processes to benefit their children. Often, in the work that we've done in community engagement in the past, we've literally launched door-knocking campaigns where we go into communities with teams of people, pound on the door and say, hey, we're here for you. We just want to build a relationship with you. Can you tell us what issues you're encountering and how we might be able to work together to get past those?
So you must have people who speak other languages doing this if you're going door to door.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about MCPS is that we have all the pieces to the puzzle. We have an ESOL department. We have a translation department. We've got people who speak the languages, and we're not perfect in any of those areas by any means, but we're really very good. The idea is just to align the resources that we already have available inside MCPS to do the work differently and more efficiently.
So what's the reception you get when you go to these homes? Because I would think, I always have tried to picture moving to like Russia, where you don't speak the language, you don't know anybody, and how difficult that would be. So what's the reception that you are getting from the parents?
So if we come the way a salesman might come, wanting something from them, you'll get one reception. But if you come offering yourself to people and offering help, you would be amazed at how warmly you are received. I've often knocked on doors cold and have come at the time when the mother's there with children and is cooking dinner, and get invited to the table, sit down and have a meal, and let's talk it over. The amazing thing that happens in those transactions is that when people begin to understand that you care about their situation, they start caring about what you're bringing to them. And often those people who are disengaged become more engaged and want to help you in the work of reaching other parents.
What was the motivation behind this, the superintendent's plan to do this? I mean, was he seeing the achievement gap getting wider and wider, or more families from other countries moving in? What was the impetus for, we got to fix this?
Montgomery County is a county of amazing paradoxes. We have immense wealth in Montgomery County, but we also have immense poverty
Yes.
here. Many people are not aware that we have more students on free and reduced meals in Montgomery County than DC has in its entire school system.
I did not know that.
That's a reality. So of our 150,000 students, approximately maybe 50,000 are on free and reduced meals, and 80% of them get free meals, which means their income is very, very, very low. And that's a reality in neighborhoods all over our county. We tend not to see it because we don't have to, for most of us. 80% of us are doing fine, but 200,000 families and 200,000 people in our community are in a situation where the month is longer than the money, and they have to rely on nonprofits and faith communities and government to subsist from month to month. That is a present reality in Montgomery County. So we have that paradox. We also have the paradox where we are a very high-flying, large district. Nationally renowned. Everywhere you go, Montgomery County is a model. But at the same time, even though we have children who are in categories that are affected by the achievement gap, where African American, poor, and Latino, and others, who are achieving better than many other people in the country, we have a widening achievement gap in Montgomery County. And trust me, if you're one of those families whose child is falling into that gap, you don't want to know about how well we're performing nationally.
Right.
The question is, how is my child being prepared for a job today?
Right.
And so it's an urgent problem. And I think that we've reached in our school system an understanding that we can't solve that problem alone in the school system by strict academics.
Right.
Teaching ABC and 1, 2, 3 is there's no way we can get out of the achievement gap problem that way. It is a big, old, complex problem that requires multiple stakeholders in the community to address it. And so we're using community engagement as a way to get all the stakeholders to the table.
And are you getting businesses involved also?
Yes, there are amazing businesses who understand themselves and the leaders of those businesses, not just as people who are business leaders and captains of industry, but also business statespeople who understand that there's a responsibility for corporate citizenship in Montgomery County. There's the price of the ticket. Right. In Montgomery County, and part of it is self-interested for them. The better our children do in school, the easier time they have actually recruiting employees to come to work for their companies.
Right.
Many people are not aware that you can finish a graduate degree in Montgomery County from high school without ever leaving the county.
Right.
So they're happy
you can go across the street from this building.
Absolutely, and they're happy to come to Montgomery County. Businesses are just to recruit employees easily. So they're becoming more and more involved in supporting us in our work. And that happens through mentoring, it happens through summer jobs, it happens through internships, student service learning hours, curriculum help from experts, and financial support for our system.
We have to wrap up, but I wanted to quickly ask you, if parents are watching this and they are, among those that need help, that need to reach out to you guys, how do they get in touch with you or your office?
Our 1-800-ASK-MCPS line is the best way. There are people in our Division of Family and Community Partnerships who can put them in contact with the right people to help get the problem solved. We're also interested in having people who have problems come and help us understand the achievement gap. So if you are an African American parent or Latino parent and want to participate in our African American and Latino Achievement Gap task forces, we would welcome you to be in that dialogue with us.
So you have those task forces? So
those task forces are just starting, and they're designed to get stakeholders from MCPS, from the community parents, and from community organizations together to do nothing else but think about solutions to the problem.
To the achievement gap.
Absolutely.
So get in touch with you if you're interested in that. Good information, Tim. Thank you very much. I wish it was take 15 today because I have so many more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time. Remember to visit us on the web at the link on your screen. I'm Jennifer Johnson. Join us next time here on Take 10.